Welcome to NAGLREP Success, a podcast series featuring the talents of the LGBT real estate agents and allies who inspire the LGBT community. I'm your host, David Siroti. This is our second NAGLREP Success under our new vision. Yes, as you can see, we're now in a video format, and each month we'll be talking to those associated with NAGLREP who can help teach us ways to grow our business. Today we have one of the industry's top speakers. He's a guy who started as a musician. He ended up with a philosophy degree, which we can't wait to learn about. He's now a real estate tech expert. It is a thrill to welcome Rivers Pierce. Rivers, hello.
Hey, Dave, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing great. I got to get right into this. You started as a musician.
I did.
Rivers, a stage name? Is that your gift name? What's going on?
Well, you're just opening with the hard-hitting questions here. No, Rivers is a given name. It's actually my great-grandmother's maiden name, and I'm from South Carolina, and here in South Carolina, we like to pass all those names down. So unfortunately, or for whatever, either way, it's my family name, and no, my parents were not hippies, even in the slightest. So no, that's where it came from, but it has served me well. People don't forget it too much.
And it's a great name for what you really started your life with, a passion for music. What, 6 years old, a top player, then by 10 you were already
I thought I was going to be a guitar player that's what I was going to be, was going to be a rock star. By the time I was 6, I started playing piano. I started guitar at 10. I went to a fine arts high school. I went to music school and, in college. And then I ended up with a philosophy degree, but that was really just because I wanted to learn to write better, to think a little bit differently. And then as soon as I got my degree, I went on the road for the next 6 years and toured professionally, playing guitar and piano, and probably did about 250 dates a year, toured the country extensively for years. And, like all things, it ran its course. I certainly have no regrets at all, but I saw the writing on the wall that maybe I was not going to be the rock star I thought I was going to be. Certainly could make a living and was making a living, but, I was starting to push 30 and said, maybe this isn't the lifestyle I wanted. And somehow I ended up in real estate technology after all that. So, but happy to go into it all.
You went to college. You started down in Florida, right? But
I did. I went to the University of North Florida.
Too educated in music
I think so. By the time I got to college, I'd gone to this really immersive fine arts program in high school that was pretty rare at the time. This is 25 years ago. And by the time I got to college, I was already kind of ahead of most of the folks that were even in the upper level classes. And I just felt like I had learned what I needed to do from the, literally 10 plus years of 5 hours a day of training, and wanted to write. I wanted to create more, and I felt as my skill set was pretty solid. And so, so I went headlong into philosophy and writing and learning and poetry and things like that. And then I started, graduated and started traveling and touring. And I tell you what, when I got off the road and started trying to get into the real world, I realized that although I didn't have much of a resume per se, I could certainly play guitar and I could bartend pretty well. But what I had learned was how to perform, how to be on stage, how to talk to people, interact, and that has been invaluable in my career since then. And case in point, I'm speaking now. I've spoken at your event before. I'm speaking at the event. I've spoken on hundreds of real estate stages and very comfortable doing that. And that's from thousands of live music shows, So it's been a very valuable experience that I've carried with me the rest of my life.
So what, you grew up in what town in South Carolina?
I grew up in Greenville, South Carolina.
All right. So you then Florida, then.
And then I moved to Charleston. I did a couple of years in the Netherlands. I lived in Atlanta for about 8 years, but then I was full-time back in Charleston in 2010. When I moved back here where I am now, to join a real estate technology company then that was a startup called Boomtown. And that's how my real estate journey began in February of 2010. So it's been 10 years.
So that must have been pretty wild. A philosophy major who, when you went to college, back at College of Charleston, it was to go overseas, right? You figured
that's correct.
My ticket to go over there.
Yeah. I got out of music school. I took a semester off to figure out my life at 20 years old or whatever, and I wanted to go to Europe. And the most frictionless way to get to Europe was to go back to school and get them to send me. So that's what I did, and it worked out, man. I did a year and a half in the Netherlands, and then came back, finished my degree, and
So now, 28, 29 years old, you got the philosophy degree, you traveled to Europe, you came off the road as a musician. That sounds like a lot of nothing that would interest a real estate technology firm.
Yeah, real estate technology didn't really even exist when I got off the road and got into tech. So by 2004, 2005, I was transitioning into the real world, and I landed in digital marketing. And I think, like many of us, sometimes when you're searching for something and you're at that crossroads, you got to kind of like let the universe drop things in your plate. And somebody said, I'll teach you how to do Google AdWords. You don't need a resume because it's a newish thing. Nobody really knows how to do it anyway. I mean, this was 16 years ago. So I just said, yes, anything is better than bartending, and nothing against bartending, but I had tended a lot of bar. And so I just dove headfirst into Google AdWords. I learned how to do SEO, and I turned that into a career basically that led me into some agency work where I was doing a lot of e-commerce for big brands like Office Depot and Apple, and some lead gen campaigns and things. But so I did that for about 5 years, and then wanted to move back to Charleston, and I found this company called Boomtown, and the rest was history, I guess, at that point. But I'm happy to obviously go into all of that if you want.
Yeah, I think we definitely want to hear about the Atlanta, with Charleston, and I can't wait to hear about that walking into Boomtown and technology.
Yeah, so in Atlanta, I really learned how to do digital marketing at scale. And then when you work in an agency, you just get exposed to so many different types of clients and people, and I just learned so much. And I always, when you're kind of like, I was older than the people, I was getting an entry-level job at almost 30 years old. And so I felt this drive to like really push harder, I think, than the rest. And I just was immersed in that world and learned digital marketing inside and out. And then when it was time to make a change, I found this company in Charleston called Boomtown, which sounded like a terrible idea. It was 2009, 2010. The economy was in the toilet because of real estate. And everybody's like, you're going to move to Charleston, South Carolina to work for a real estate technology company with 10 employees. I was the 10th employee. I was like, yeah, I feel like it's the right decision. My family, everybody's like, you're crazy. But it worked. It was great. I was the 10th employee there. And literally when I walked in, we were in one room. I mean, it was your standard startup story, right? And they brought me in to build and scale their lead generation services department, which is what I was doing a lot of and still do. And from there, just the long story short, there were 10 of us when I joined. I worked there for 8.5 years, and there are 300 employees and 3,000 clients when I left. So quite the success story, both in Charleston and in the real estate space for sure.
Well, we'll get into that, but before we do, let's talk about the policy summit coming up. Obviously, there's a lot happening in the LGBT community right now with the administration, with all sorts of things happening. And NAGAREP will hold its annual LGBT Housing Policy Summit, April 28th and 29th at the Human Rights Campaign's Equality Center right in the heart of D.C. United States Congressman Alan Lowenthal, who is a staunch LGBT ally. He's noted as the first congressman to ever hang the rainbow flag outside his Capitol Hill office. He's going to deliver the keynote address. We're going to be joined by leaders from NAR, the top brands in real estate, the top financial institutions in our industry, in the mortgage space. We're going to talk about the Equality Act, issues facing LGBTs, everything from discrimination to fear of the process to being discriminated in the mortgage process. And then we'll also, of course, visit Capitol Hill and lobby with our elected officials. So if you have not already registered, please do it at nagelrep.com. All right, Rivers, you went from 10 employees, digital in a recession in housing. Back then, none of us really understood how digital technology would impact real estate.
Right.
We're only 10 years removed from having the book, the living book. So what were those early days like at Boomtown? Not so much from a Boomtown perspective, but a tech and real estate.
Yeah, it was a completely different world than we live in now from a technology standpoint in our industry. Absolutely. And I actually have a chart I'm banging on the door trying to give us funding, right? There's no money coming into this space, right? We were still trying to convince people that they needed to actually have a website, right? Even in 2010. And so getting them to then say, oh, I need a CRM and marketing automation. And they're like, I don't even know what you're talking about. So, the education we were doing then was what would be considered very basic 101. If you're not doing these things now, you're not in business, right? As opposed to the education that I do now is much more deeper than, the kind of things that we just consider table stakes, right? But we were redefining an industry, I think. The industry was redefining itself at that time, right?
So
it was like,
what were some of the things that you did all the way back then, which we can look back, it's only 10 years,
yeah,
that seem normal today, but were cutting edge back then?
I mean, just the bottom line, like cut, I wouldn't say it was necessarily cutting edge, but it was new for a lot of people, was having a website with IDX search, getting traffic coming in from search engines to it, squeezing them for information, getting a lead, going into a CRM system that then, even then we didn't have an email platform really. It was just like a place for you to generate digital leads because consumers were going online to look for real estate every month. It was more and more and more and more. I think then the stats were like 60% of consumers are online looking for real estate. Obviously now it's like 99.9%. That it was just a whole different world. And so the people that embraced it from the industry side then, some of those people when we first started were 5-person teams, and now they're like 500-person brokerages in 5 cities, right? They got on the train 10 years ago, embraced technology in a down market, and then they just went all in and grabbed market share when everybody else is pulling back and kind of being scared. Those people that leaned into that kind of movement 10 years ago are dominating the industry now.
I'm curious, even all the way back then when you had a bunch of techies and really smart people, did you ever consider that there might not be agents in the process?
I think then when we thought of disruption, that's what everybody was trying to disrupt. We were not. Boomtown always took the stake in the ground and saying, no, we are a friend of the agent. We're here for the agent. And that was always and still is their platform mantra, if you will, mission. But at the time, the big companies coming out, other than like Zillow and whatnot, that were more portals, the conversations were around, all right, technology is going to save the world. We're going to get rid of agents. That just has not proven to be the case. And you really don't hear people talking about that kind of thing anymore. Even the iBuyers, that streamline the transaction and you can do it without an agent, they still work with a lot of agents, right? And what we're seeing is the disruption has been less about getting rid of the agent now and more about they're disrupting the brokerage model, or they're disrupting the general transaction model, right? From a consumer perspective, what do consumers want? Consumers never really raised their hand and said, we don't want agents, right? They just said, we want a better process. We want transparency and convenience and certainty in a process that's very historically been very fragmented and not very transparent, yet the most valuable or expensive transaction you make in your life. So those worlds are converging now, I think, and that's where that disruption is coming in.
So now here we are today where it's all about how do you take a lead, turn that lead into a true human relationship.
Mm-hmm.
How do you see agents really using technology today
Mm-hmm.
to impact their business?
There's a couple of core things, and I'm a big advocate for the most unsexy side of all of this, which is operations, technology infrastructure for your operations. The best way to do the most business and provide the most value to your client base is to actually have an organized process, organized operations, a comprehensive and easily usable database of your sphere or your client base. Those are the things that when they're not done properly, you can't deliver the best value because you may not be able to reach the right people, or they may not be able to get in touch with you, or you're flipping through legal pads or spreadsheets trying to find who you should be contacting. It's when you just embrace technology as a pillar of your business, as a team member for your business, and say, this is how you have to do business now. That when that mindset happens and that shift happens, that's when that success really takes it to the next level. Because again, you're trying to meet consumers on their turf now, right? They don't have to necessarily come to you. And the people that have the right technology and the right operations and processes, they're the ones getting the market share. Because the people that don't, their databases are kind of drying up because those people are just getting picked off by somebody else. So I think outside of some having better websites and mobile apps and things like that, it really comes down to you're still doing what you've always done, which is knowledge, negotiation, customer service, standard real estate people stuff. It's doing it with the help of technology and a new, it's really a mindset thing, to be honest with you, and just embracing.
It does sound, I think as you talk, where my mind goes is that this is why agents are almost moving to that team model.
Yep.
It's a little more comforting.
Yep.
Of people who, quote unquote, get your side.
Yes.
Can help them. Is that what you're seeing now as a consultant?
Absolutely. Whether they're actually moving to the official team model, and this is another thing that I witnessed over the years, is the growth of the team model or a team mindset. So I don't care if you actually have a team or you run your brokerage like a team. It's what teams did is they created division of labor in the real estate process, right? So you as the agent didn't have to do everything. That was the traditional way. It was like, I do the sales, I do the marketing, I do all the follow-ups, Now you've got somebody doing your marketing. You've got somebody that's an ISA. Like the agent might sit right here and all they do is wait for hot leads to come to them, or they work their sphere. And then when it's time to go to contract, what happens? Goes to a closing coordinator. It goes into a different system and a different process. And it's allowed the industry to create what I like to say is you can actually scale it, right? You can forecast against it because you've got the technology and the operations in place to create a real business flow, right? That is, unfortunately, or whatever, that's a newish concept for real estate. It's always been more of a one-to-one kind of personal thing. Well, when you look at what Opendoor or Compass or even the big Keller Williams teams or any of them are doing now, the ones that are really growing have got very tight operational processes, the right mindset that they're doing real estate as a business in a different way, and they've got the right people and technology and protocols to facilitate that consumer experience that really is what they're driving.
So you have not really talked about the lead generation side.
Okay.
You're talking about when the client comes in, but what role does all of this tech have for let's say a single agent who's running around dealing with clients, but they've also got to be bringing in business.
Yeah. Well, the technology, for one, lets you basically prospect 24/7 if you want, right? So you can run advertising, or at least you've got a digital web, front. But it also allows each piece of the world, the real estate world now, it allows you to, the technology can allow you to handle follow-up, the initial conversations and all virtually, right? So you can also do that at scale while you sleep if you need to, right? You've got systems and processes that will send thank yous and automated texts and even chats and things. Now, that may not be for everybody, but it allows you to manage 10 times more business at the top of the funnel, right? So from a lead gen perspective. And then on the bottom end, it allows you to create more opportunities with the database that you have, but you're not kind of hamstrung by your personal ability to do it all, right? And there's a certain point there where you hit your capacity. You can't scale yourself. How do you scale yourself? You have technology or other people that come in that do those things that are more, what do they say? Less dollar productive, right? My time is better doing these things that close deals. I'm going to pay somebody to do these things and pay somebody to do these things, and I'm going to use technology to do these things, right? That's how you have to be thinking about it if you're going to continue to grow, right? If you're going to try to scale. So when people come to me and say, I don't need to, I'm happy with my database. I'm happy with the amount of money I'm making. I want to work 30 hours instead of 60, right? Okay, well, that's a different approach, and we still are going to use technology to do that versus I have a 5-person team and I want to have a 20-person team by the end of the year. That's a different conversation. To me, that screams a lot of lead gen.
So do I have to invest $50,000, $100,000 into this?
Absolutely not. Now, if you're growing, maybe tripling the size of your team, yeah, maybe. But no, if you're looking to just streamline your technology, I think that's something, and I'm a big proponent of what I call a more modular tech ecosystem. And so how that works is basically you've got companies, say, like Keller Williams and what RE/MAX has done with their Booj acquisition, Compass, even Redfin. You've got these companies that have these really nice end-to-end tech suites that are great for like the average agent for sure. But I think the misperception in the marketplace is that if you're not using one of those systems, there's not really an option for you. And that's just simply not the case because there's hundreds of real estate technology products out there. It's just about putting them together in the right way that makes the most sense for your business, right? So if you want to use Boomtown, that's great for larger teams or, that kind of level of business. But if it's just you as a single agent, then maybe you just need a simple CRM solution and a very simple website solution. And that's going to cost you $100 a month, maybe. And that may be fine. So what I like to help people do is take a step back, assess their whole business top to bottom and say, what makes the most sense for you now, your budget, your goals, growth. And then we'll put a few of these products together. We'll hook them together with APIs and connect everything so that you can have an end-to-end software solution or tech stack, as we call it, that works for your business now. And if you want to grow and change, you're not hamstrung by this one system that is to rule them all. You can say, I've actually outgrown the CRM solution. I'm going to take it out. I'm going to put something else in.
All right. You just went tech on us. You went.
Yes, I did.
Tech stack, API,
okay.
CRM. Slow down.
Okay.
Take us through what are these things that you.
Sorry about that. Sure. So CRM, everybody should know. And if you don't, it's time to learn. CRM is your customer relationship management system. Consider it your database, right? This is nothing different than your Rolodex before it was digital, right? This is just where your sphere or your contacts live. And it needs to be in a digital cloud-based system that allows you to, a database should be simple and organized and allow you to, type something in and get an answer back from it, right? Then we start talking about the other things in the tech stack. And the tech stack is basically, in my world, what we call all of the technology that you use to power your business. That could be everything from QuickBooks to your WordPress website to your CRM to whatever. You're showing open house software, your MLS software, whatever that might be. And so then you would take an assessment of all of those technology tools that are in your stack. And then the key here is making sure that they all talk to each other, right? Because we live in an era of data. And the more data you can get and the more confidence you have in your data, the better decisions you can make about your business and accountability and ROI and all of these things. Well, in order to do that, you use something called an API. And without getting into too much of the tech stuff, basically an API is a piece of software that allows multiple other pieces of software to talk to each other. So the guys over at MoxieWorks put like a power strip. I plug everything into the power strip and it allows the current to flow, right? So my CRM information can talk to my phone chat information, right? That all can talk to my website and can talk to Google Analytics or whatever, right? Whatever it is that you need or you do to power your business, we want to make sure it's all talking to each other, because then not only are you passing data, but those workflows, right? So if a lead comes in from over here, comes to the website, fills out a form, goes to the CRM, that needs to then send a notification to somebody to do something else, right? When we were talking about the division of labor and operationalizing your business, these things all have to be working together, right? So you can have the most incredible workflows that you've mapped out on a whiteboard, but if the technology's not there to support it, it doesn't work. Or vice versa. You can have the best technology in the world, but if you don't have the workflows mapped out and how it all needs to support the actual business of working with clients, it doesn't work. So that's where I like to come in and help people not only see that and understand it, and once the light bulb comes on, say, oh, okay, this is real. This is how you do business. And it doesn't have to be scary, right? I'll tell you this. It's what I do, right? So for me, it's like normal stuff. But if you get me into a real estate transaction and the inspection goes bad or the appraisal's wrong or something, that's not my world. That's why I work with a real estate professional. They make that look easy. They give you peace of mind because that's what they do. I do this for real estate people. You know what I mean? So yeah. It's about being vulnerable enough to say, I'm a real estate professional. My business is going well, but I know that I'm not up to snuff technologically speaking, if you will, and finding the right resources and people to help you do that, because it is imperative at this point that you have.
And you understand why this all sounds so intimidating.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Who should an agent seek out, whether it's in their brokerages? What's the job title for to say, help, I don't know what to do?
No, that's tough because it doesn't really exist. A lot of the big brokerages obviously have it. But, you know, typically you're going to have some sort of maybe an IT person or an operational person. But a lot of times IT people are actually just handling like email firewalls and phone systems and stuff, right? This is a different play. This is a digital, you may have a digital marketing person that might be able to help, but it's typically with a team or a brokerage, somebody in the ops, like a director of operations or something that manages where the database is, where you log in for whatever, your back office solutions and things like that. That'd be your first line of defense, I think. Or you can always call me, of course. You know.
Okay. Well, we're going to call you later. But first, let's talk about, you're actually going to be there, the 7th annual NAGAREP conference.
Yeah.
At the incredible Riviera in Palm Springs. It's October 6th through the 8th. Amazing event. More than 700 are expected to attend. The networking, amazing sessions like you, Rivers, leaders of the LGBT community. And this year, we're going to focus even more on real estate education and training. So make sure you got the early bird price at $549. It's available right now at nagarep.com. And I know last year when I first met and talked to you, you were blown away.
Yeah.
NAGAREP event, because you go to hundreds of these things.
I've been to a lot.
About it.
Yeah, it was a fantastic event. It was everybody was just very open to learning, right? And open-minded in general. And you know, some of these conferences, people keep things kind of real close to the chest. I don't want anybody to know my strategies. Or, you know, it wasn't like that at all. And that is, for me as an educator in that role, at least for that kind of conference of what you guys had asked me to do, it just felt really good to be able to like relax and know that people really did want to, they were there to learn. That's not always the case. So I would say I would encourage anybody to go. It's a fantastic event.
So let's go back to that term tech stack.
Okay.
I love that. So it makes us sound really smart. Some of the basic things
you
have to have today.
Yep.
And after that, we'll go, what are the more advanced things?
Okay. Basic. CRM, some sort of email marketing, some sort of analytics suite.
And when you say email marketing, what does that mean?
Marketing, like for doing drip campaigns, have some way to continue to keep up with your database.
Is that your constant contact?
Constant contact, MailChimp or a Boomtown, a Commissions Inc. They have those built in. But if you use like a standalone system like Follow Up Boss or something, plugging in MailChimp or something to that, it really just depends. But you need, a place to manage your people, so a database CRM. You need something that would plug into that for continuing to market to them, definitely email, but maybe even text messaging or phone call tracking or, those kinds of things. I think you need to have a website. It doesn't have to be property search necessarily, but you got to have something. It's 2020. Like, you got to have something. And I think you need to have some sort of analytics suite, your platform that you use. And those are both things that show you who's coming into your website, what content are they interacting with, what properties are they looking at, where are your leads coming from. But it could also be, if you're managing a team or a brokerage, it could be analytics around what agents are actually doing. Are they logging into the system? Are they making their phone calls? Are they following the protocols that you outlined as part of the team structure, right? If you've got an agent that's coming to you saying, oh, the leads are crap and I'm not closing any deals and your team sucks, and you can go back to them and go, well, actually, you haven't logged into the system or called any of the leads we sent you in 3 weeks. So, let's change our tune there, right? That insight and clarity gives you power, right? It gives you leverage. And if that, as a business owner, and you know this, probably as well as I do in real estate, that sometimes the inmates run the asylum. And you're running a brokerage and you got all this tech and you got all these processes, but you got like the top 3 producers are like, yeah, no, we're good. We're not going to do that. But they're the top producers, so you don't want to rock the boat too much. We're seeing more and more where people are kind of saying, okay, well, that's fine, but you can go somewhere else, right? This is how we run our business. And it's a little tricky in the 1099 world. I get it, which makes the team structure a little more appealing in that regard, because people are agreeing to play by the team rules, if you will. But yeah, other than that, I think it gets into kind of that next level down, right? Those are the core operational pieces. And obviously you need to have some back office, accounting.
You haven't talked about
brokerage.
The content.
Okay.
Today.
What was that?
What do I need to share today? Unending, right? Yeah,
the basic thing that everybody wants, or they open listing alerts. So if you have a way to send people daily e-alerts for listings, they always work. People just want to see what's on the market. Beyond that, I think there's a bit of a fine line. I used to say you need to send a lot of neighborhood information out. Well, unless you're really doing that well, they can get that information all over the place, demographic kind of stuff, right? So I think it's more about putting out into the world who you are, right? What do you bring to the table, right? So it's not so much about like, here's what this neighborhood's all about. It's more like, I'm the expert for this area or this thing or this event, or like, this is me and why I want to work with you and what I bring to the table, right? That's kind of what we're seeing people do and see the most success with. They're forming relationships digitally through video and through content, and making it personal. So when you do meet with somebody, they kind of already know you. It's like I have a friend that pivoted his business and basically turned on. He said, we're going to go after dog owners. I was like, dog owners, right? But it could be down to that level. He's like, we meet so many clients at the dog park. We decided to go after that really hard. And we created a whole bunch of branded doggy poop bags and handed them out all over the dog park, right? Like, that is content. That is creative. And it's certainly different and outside the box, but why not? Go into that, lean into those kinds of things, I think, that really make you special. That's what people relate to. And it cuts through the noise because anybody can tell you about stats for a neighborhood. I want to hear.
Right, so let's put you on the spot. You're a consultant now in your business, and I need you to tell me, where is this whole thing going with technology?
I think, to kind of circle back to what we were talking about in the beginning, it's not going the way of the getting rid of the agent. I do believe the agent population will shrink, but that is not because of technology per se. I think it's because the people that are getting market share and gaining consumer awareness and eyeballs are the ones that are leveraging technology the best. And so those that are doing 2 to 3, 4, 5 homes a year, their market opportunity is just going to start disappearing. So it's not so much that they're not able to even have business opportunities because the big teams and Zillow and Opendoor and those companies are sucking those people out of the marketplace, right? If somebody's trying to get in touch with you, for example, and you don't have the technology to see that they're trying to get in touch with you, or you're not following up fast enough, it's not like they just stop their real estate search. They go to somebody else, right? Somebody else that does contact them immediately. Somebody that can have those processes in place. So I like to tell people, it's not like that money just disappears off into the ether. It goes into somebody else's pocket and it doesn't come back. And so once that narrative is shifted away from you, your chances of getting back into the game are very difficult. So I think that's where we're heading, that if you don't, technology is not going to do this for you, but if you don't embrace it and leverage it as a tool set and as a member or team member of your business, it's going to be very difficult for you to compete. I think it's happening kind of slowly. It's speeding up, but I think at some point in the next few years, it's going to explode in the sense that what Opendoor and Compass and Redfin, EXP and KW and Zillow and all are doing from a tech perspective at that level and the amount of money there, it's just going to be impossible for you to compete if you're not doing it already.
This has been awesome. And this today's another great example of the benefits of NagleRep and people being a part of this incredible group. If you're not already a member, you need to visit the website, naglerep.com, and register. Currently 2,600 agents, 40 chapters around the country. The group is really making a difference both in rates and also working together to generate business and referrals. And this has been awesome, learning about you, from the philosophy, the music. Great to have you around the pool in Palm Springs with the guitar. We'll bring out, and you can
That's
go
a tall
to town.
order. I don't know if that was on my invite.
We can do that, and we really appreciate you taking time. If you want to get a hold of Rivers, what we want you to do is, which site do you want?
Yeah, so I've got my consulting agency is called Weightless, and we feel that technology should be so integral to your business that it should feel weightless, and that's where the name comes from. So you can go to the website. It's Go Weightless, GOW, the number 8, LESS, goweightless.com. You can email me directly at rivers@goweightless.com. You can find me at Rivers Pierce on LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram. Yeah, come find us.
And Pierce is P-E-A-R-C-E.
P-E-A-R-C-E. R-I-V-E-R-S, P-E-A-R-C-E. Just Google me, and you'll find a way to get in touch, I'm sure. It's yeah. And then I guess you guys can publish, put out the information when we post all of this. But yeah, I'm around, and I look forward to seeing all of you in Palm Springs. I wish it was still got a few months, but I'm looking forward to it.
I think we all are, especially those here in the Northeast. It's time. So
All right.
thank you, everybody, for joining us. This has been NAGLE Rep Success. Until next time, I'm David Cerroti.